Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. If you've been following my daily vlogs, well then you know I have started on a very large project. I'm calling it the Pond Project, and it's in like 4 phases. Phase 1 is I want to change where the water drains out of the pond. In other words, every pond has to have an overflow. But this pond is a little more unique in that it is spring fed, and so water is constantly going in, so therefore water has to constantly go out. Presently, it drains into my son's field, and I want to change that so that it doesn't keep his field soaked down. So I'm going to install a culvert pipe into a different location on the pond, and the culvert will then drain directly into the creek. It presently drains into the creek anyway, but it just meanders through his field before it gets there. So this will just give it a direct route and won't create other problems out in the field. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is building a large retaining wall. Phase 3 is building a building. And then phase 4 is making a water wheel. So it's going to be a long, drawn-out project. It will probably be multi-parts in addition to that in terms of the videos. This will just be phase 1, and I imagine it will only be 1 part. So enjoy. I thought we'd start by just taking a little flyover of the pond. We're facing my son's property presently, and that if you look to the left, you can see where the water drains out of the pond and it runs out into his field. It keeps his field soaked, and he can't cut it, and really nothing can use that area because it's just swampy. Now I'm raising the camera up so that we can look at the dam, and this is the area where I'm going to re-drain the pond. If you look there at the end of the picnic table, about another 15 feet or so from the end of the picnic table, I'm planning to dig a trench across there, and in a moment the camera will lift up some more and you can see how the culvert will go straight through the dam and drain into the creek. In a moment, the camera is going to spin, so if you have motion sickness, you may want to look away. I'll tell you when you can look back. Okay, I think it's safe to look again. And I'm just giving you a different view of the pond, and over there in all that trees and brush is where we're going to build the water wheel and the building and the retaining wall. So most of the rest of the project will be behind those trees right there. Well, as you can see, step 1 of the pond project has been completed. I went and bought the conduit. That's an 8-inch conduit. And I plan to put it in right over there and go all the way across the dam. It's optical illusion. That is really wide across there. It's more than 20 feet. This is 20 feet long. And that's further than that by about 3 or 4 feet. So my goal when I start this project is I'm going to taper around this way and maybe even pull a little bit of dirt out of the water actually. And I'm going to raise the pipe up about 6 inches, maybe even more, but probably at least 6 inches. So the pond will get a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, a little deeper, you know, when I do this. And then the goal is to have the drain end of the pipe basically fall right into the creek. So that's what we're planning on. We'll see how all that works. Presently, it drains way out on that corner, goes out through my son's field, and just makes a big mess of his field. Well, my friends, today is day 1 of the pond project. My goal today is to bring this dirt back and narrow this dam down. This is a really wide dam. It doesn't need to be this wide. My son said the moment I start on this, it's going to rain. And look at there, it's sprinkling out there right now. So he must be psychic, because it's been fine all day till now. I'll be darned. I guess we'll do take 2. All right, we're going to try take 2 and see if we can get it to happen this time. We'll set the camera up closer to the building in case it starts raining again.
I labor and toil, but my father said, son, you should move away.
One of my goals during this project is to not only narrow the dam and make the water surface larger that way, but I am also going to raise the drain so that it adds about another 6 inches of water on the top of the present water, if you will. So it'll be about 6 inches deeper, maybe even a foot deeper than it is presently, which will also expand the boundaries of the pond. Obviously, I'm going to have to raise the dam in a place or two to accomplish that, especially over where the drain is presently. But that's the goal, and as you'll see, I think it works out pretty well.
He said, farm life is dying, son, please don't stay. I moved to the city and I tried to fit in. I thought of my father, how the crops would get in.
And if I didn't really make it clear, the other reason I'm narrowing the dam is so that I can use just one piece of culvert pipe that is 20 feet long to span the entire dam. If I leave it in the present condition, I would need about 23 or 24 feet, which would be silly to buy a second culvert pipe and only use about 3 feet of it. So that's why I am narrowing the dam.
I could hear him say, son, you should move away. He said, farm life is dying, son, please don't stay.
I thought I'd give you a little update of what I'm running into. The skid steer is digging it okay, but I'm hitting a lot of rock. Way more rock in this dam than I thought there would be. There's a lot of clay, but there's a lot of rock also. And that rock is embedded, and when you hit that rock and you're on this steep hillside, it's steeper than it looks. It always is on camera. The weight of that skid steer pulls the back end down the hill just almost instantly as soon as you hit something sturdy. If it was on flat ground, I could just push right through it. But the instant you hit anything heavy like that, it just starts to slide you down the hill. So I'm having to be very careful, because the last thing I want to do is get stuck in the pond. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is scrape off as much of this as I can. Then when I get the backhoe, I'll need the backhoe anyway to trench across there. I'll take the backhoe and clean some more of it out down next to the water's edge. That's my plan. Let's see if it works. Fortunately, when you're doing a pond project, water is the very best level that you could ever have. So there's no real need for me to have a transit level or anything else out there today, because I can just look at the water level and pretty much tell where I'm high, where I'm low. My goal right at this moment, as you're watching this video, is to clean off the dam. I got to get rid of all the grass and basically scarify the dirt so that the new dirt that I'm going to add will stick and adhere to it and make a watertight seal. It's obvious that I need to add more dirt to this part of the dam because when I raise the water level a foot, it's going to be very near the top of the dam. So that's the goal at this point right here. As you can see, I'm working on the overflow that is presently there. I need to also scarify that area, dig out what's there, and put in new dirt. So in effect, I'm raising the entire level of across the dam there, including the overflow location. It might seem simple that you could just dump dirt on top of it, but if you don't clean off what's there already, it will not hold water. It will just run right straight through. My friends, we're about halfway through this video, and I hope that you will please click the thumbs up. And if you've not yet subscribed, please do that as well. Thank you very much.
I returned for a visit, but I was too late. My father lay dying. I knew it was fate, but he turned and said, "Son, you should move away."
As you may be able to tell, I am only building the dam up at this point. I am not allowing for a spillway. That will come later. I'm just adding dirt on top and will continue to add dirt on top until I feel like I've got to the level that it needs to be.
I just couldn't leave him, and he knew I would stay. Now I'm an old dirt farmer, I scrape a living from the soul. Like my father before me, I labor and toil. Song about a horse or two. Well, here's one more, and I swear it's true. The finest horse you've ever seen, his name was Phantom 614. A proud young stallion with head held high, his coat like satin under candlelight, his mane and tail, oh how they sheen. His name was Phantom 614. Though just a young man at the time, I knew that one day he'd be mine, and I would ride there like a king, up on the back of 614. The trainer said, "Son, he can't be rode, but stay away, boy, or you'll be thrown." He said, "That horse is just plain mean, His name was Phantom 614.
As you can clearly see, I've transitioned over to the backhoe attachment for my skid steer. This backhoe attachment is clearly not designed for this large of a bobcat or skid steer. In fact, it was designed for a much smaller unit. I called Bobcat and asked him, is it possible to convert this backhoe attachment over to the T300 Bobcat? And they said, no, absolutely not. You cannot do that. And I said, okay, challenge accepted. So basically I cut it apart, widened it out, made some new attachment points. I think it's probably even OSHA approved. It's pretty solid. It works really well. The biggest difference is that it works so much faster now because the hydraulics are so much more powerful on the T300. So therefore I have to run the T300 at about half throttle, and it makes it operate really well, and it has plenty of power. I am absolutely just tickled with the results. It works so good. And for sure, it works way better than a shovel. I figure I might as well say this as well. No, it's not nearly as good as an excavator. But if I can only have one tool, which that's all I can afford, I'd much rather have the skid steer with the backhoe attachment rather than an excavator trying to do the work that the skid steer can do.
That horse and I, our souls were one. Without any fear, I climbed upon the back of the one they said was me. His name was Phantom 614. A one-man horse to me proved true. The people would stare as we ride through a sight which few have ever seen. His name was Phantom 614. His name was Phantom 614.
I'm trying to raise the water level by 6 inches to a foot. Quite honestly, this is probably high right over there. It's probably real high. I think I'm going to leave it like this till tomorrow and see what the water level looks like, because I don't think this is going to, fill up fast enough, because this is spring fed and it's filled by that spring way up there on the hill. I don't know, can you see that? The sun's glaring so much I cannot tell if I'm even aiming at that. There's a spring house up there on the hill, and the water comes down, fills up this pond. And anyway, I don't think it's going to flow out of here by tomorrow, but I think that'll give me a better idea tomorrow on how far to dig this. Because, water is the perfect level. So I'll just wait until the water fills up a little bit, and then I'll finish digging this tomorrow and put the pipe in. Let's see if the water's come up any. Probably hasn't come up much yet. It's only been 36 hours since I finished it, but yeah, it's coming up. It doesn't look like it maybe, but the water's back into here now, so it's coming up. It's just very slow. Well, the pond came up a lot last night because we had a really big rain, so the pond's as full as I want it to be, and you can see the little overflow I made is actually flowing out, so that helps it seek its own level. So I'm about ready to put the pipe in. I think I'm going to clean this area right here just a little bit to get it a little flatter, because it's a little high in the middle here, low on this end, a little low on this end even. It didn't take very much digging to level this out, and I think it's close enough for my purposes, so I'm going to lay the pipe in there. Well, there's what the pipe looks like laying in there, and I kind of stood on it in places to make sure it was leveled out. I think that looks pretty good. I have some bentonite clay that I'm going to pour around the entrance here, before I backfill this, and that will seal it. I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. Here's what the bentonite clay looks like, and it says all natural sodium bentonite, pond sealer and liner. It's commercially it's sold as a pond sealer. There's a lot of uses for bentonite clay, but it really works good to seal a pipe like this. So I'm going to carry this over there and pour it on. Because of all the mud and crud, I'm not setting up the real camera. Obviously, I'm just filming this with my phone. So I'm just going to pour it on there, and then I'll show you what it looks like after I get it on there. Well, the mud was sticking to my boots, and it was hard to get around, made me kind of fall over, but I got her in there. It's all under it and around it, and now I'm just going to put some dirt around that and show you what that looks like. Well, you can see the pipe is in there. Maybe you can see the water is pouring out of this end down here, and it's pouring out about the same rate it's going in, so that would indicate to me that it's set up pretty well. I have dammed up this end of the pipe. I don't think I'm going to cover it the rest of the way yet. I think I'm just going to make sure that it doesn't keep leaking or anything. It looks like it's already sealed, but this, I'm in no hurry, and it's a muddy mess right now, and I'll let this dry up a little bit before I go ahead and backfill it. That way I won't get the equipment just marred up in mud. Well, my friends, we must have had one heck of a rainstorm last night. I didn't hear it because I'm in that big house and I'm in a center room where there's no exposure to the outside. In fact, there's a double roof even, so I don't hear anything in there. Well, it obviously rained really hard because look at the logs washed up on my bridge. That's only the third time in the 20-some years we've owned the place that the water has come up over this bridge. Prior to that, all the owners previous that we've talked to said it never ever did come up above this bridge. Never. So this is the third time that's happened to us. And look at the stuff. You can see that the water was all the way out past the fence. So it was a major flood last night. Now keep in mind, this creek starts just up about 1.5 miles up that way. So you can even see where it got all the way up there. See, look at the line there that's deep. I mean, that's from the ground to there, that's at least 6-7 feet deep, maybe 8 feet deep. It was a major flood. I'm surprised it didn't wash our bridge out. So let's go see what my pond did. See if it messed up my pond. It would be likely to do that since I'm just working on it and don't have it up in good shape yet. Fortunately, I came up here yesterday and buried this pipe. I'm glad I did that because it would have washed that out. You can see the water's really gushing in there. I don't think it breached over there, but it got very close. It might have breached over there. I'll have to go look. Look how much water's pouring out of the pipe this morning. Oh my gosh. Now that's just from the spring right now. So let's take a walk over here and see if it breached the dam at my low point. See, I was going to make it overflow over here anyway, but I just haven't got to do it yet because it's been so muddy. So I hope it didn't wash this all out. Apparently it didn't wash it out much if it did. Yeah, it washed it out. I can see it. Oh my gosh. What a mess. Well, it didn't wash it out much. It did wash through a little bit, you can tell. You can tell it came through here a little bit, but not very bad. Washed it out a little bit right there. So I got lucky so far. Like I said, I'm planning to build this all up. I'm going to build this all up another foot or so and make a swale right here, for that real high water. But boy, the pond is completely full, that's for sure. Man, what a rainstorm. This is just to show you the water coming out of the actual spring. Pretty good amount of water. Now this is, you know, above average. Average would be a little bit bigger than a water hose. So, you know, it runs down here, kind of makes a mess right now, but this is where I'm going to put the water wheel. So take a look once more there. That's how much water's coming out. Let's see how much water's coming out of the pipe on the other side of the pond. It should be about the same. This dark line right there is about 8 feet out. So in other words, that's where the old pond line used to be. So we've increased the pond size by about 8 feet roughly, and probably by 10 to 12 inches in depth also. So we really grew the pond quite a bit. That'll be good for the fish. Here's where the water is coming into the pipe. As you can see, it's a pretty good amount of water. And here's where it's coming out, which I think looks about the same as what the spring is putting out. So this gives you some idea that most of the water the spring's putting out is going to be coming out that pipe. And eventually I'm going to put some more rock and stuff down here to go right into the creek so it doesn't wash the bank out. So here's the water flow out of the pipe this morning. You can see it's considerably reduced. I have not yet looked to see what's coming out of the new pipe I put in the pond. But that's still quite a bit of water when you consider 24/7. And you can see how it runs down and into the pond. Now we'll go over to the far end and see what's coming out of the pipe I put in. Well, there's what's going into the pipe. And as you can see, there's a little bit of dirt and debris there. In fact, I'll pull that little bit out and let the rest slide through. And let's see what's coming out at the other end. And you can see, looks to be just about the same as what the spring's putting out.
So it appears we're successful. Stay tuned for the next phase of this big pond project.